Hello, students. Today we are going to talk about the concept that reshaped the course of Western thought and influenced countless disciplines, humanism. The intellectual movement began in Italy during the 14th century and quickly spread across Europe, playing a significant role in shaping the Renaissance. But what exactly is humanism? In simple terms, humanism is the belief in the value and agency of human beings. It promotes critical thinking, creativity, and the study of subjects like history, philosophy, and the arts. Humanists advocate for the importance of education in developing human intellect and ethics. Unlike other movements, which often emphasize divine inspiration or dogma, humanism focuses on the potential of human excellence. To truly appreciate the rich tapestry of humanism, it is essential to understand its historical roots. The early seeds were sown in ancient Egypt, or in ancient Greece, where philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle were pivotal in promoting human reasoning and ethical conduct. These thinkers emphasized the potential of humans to achieve virtue through knowledge and wisdom, and their teachings laid the groundwork for later developments in humanism. Then, during the Roman Empire, thinkers like Cicero and Seneca contributed to these ideas, linking humanism to governance and ethics. Their writings served as key texts throughout the Middle Ages, bridging the gap between ancient thought and the Renaissance era. And speaking of the Middle Ages, this period was heavily influenced by religious dogma, particularly from the Catholic Church. However, within the monastic schools and early universities, scholars like Thomas Aquinas sought to reconcile faith and reason. They laid the groundwork for Christian humanism by integrating the teachings of ancient philosophers with Christian doctrine. In the end of the Middle Ages marked a transitional period leading to the Renaissance. While the church remained a dominant force, an increasing number of intellectuals began to emphasize the value of individual experience and empirical evidence, setting the stage for the humanistic explosion that would follow in the Renaissance. Now, before we explore the various forms of humanism in depth, it's useful to introduce two prominent types: Christian humanism and secular humanism. Although they share core principles like the intrinsic value of human life and the significance of ethical conduct, they differ in fundamental ways that shape their worldview. Christian humanists seek to combine the moral and ethical emphasis of humanism with Christian beliefs and principles. Prominent figures like Thomas More, the author of a book called Utopia, was pivotal in shaping Christian humanism. More and his contemporaries believed that human reason and faith could exist harmoniously. They argued that the study of the humanities, such as literature and philosophy, could lead to a deeper understanding of the Bible and Christian teachings. This was a departure from the view that religious doctrines should be accepted without question. Christian humanists hold that human freedom and individual conscience are compatible with Christian ethics, emphasizing personal responsibility to both God and fellow humans. In More's Utopia, for example, the ideal society is one where people live cooperatively, sharing resources and responsibilities, embodying both humanistic principles and Christian virtues. So, Christian humanism allows for a blending of the spiritual and the rational. It suggests that you can be a devout believer while also advocating for human rights, social justice, and intellectual exploration. This form of secular humanism, on the other hand, is unique in that it completely separates itself from religious traditions and supernatural beliefs. Secular humanists rely on evidence, logic, and reason to understand the world around them, viewing scientific inquiry as the best way to uncover truths about the universe. In terms of morality and ethics, secular humanists believe that these can be derived from human nature and experience, rather than from divine commandments or religious texts. They often advocate for the ethical systems based on human welfare, social justice, and individual freedoms. Now let's talk about two significant figures who contributed to the humanistic thought: Petrarch and Machiavelli. Now, Francisco Petrarca, also known as Petrarch, was a major figure in the Italian Renaissance and is known as the father of humanism. Why does he matter? Well, first, he rediscovered Cicero's letters, igniting the Italian Renaissance and humanism, a movement that celebrates human potential. Petrarch is also a poetic pioneer. His sonnets set a standard for lyrical poetry during the Renaissance. He coins the term Dark Ages to describe the time that he felt was devoid of culture and intellect. A noteworthy episode in his life was the ascent of Mount Ventoux. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct. Unlike other authors who climbed mountains for practical reasons, Petrarch did it for the joy of the experience and intellectual curiosity. This journey was symbolic of human potential and the quest for knowledge, embodying the spirit of humanism. Petrarch believes that secular achievements and faith can coexist. In Secretum Meum, he argued that God gave us intellectual and creative gifts to be used fully, a sentiment that greatly influenced humanism. Now, born in Florence in 1469, Machiavelli was a diplomat, philosopher, and writer. He is best known for his political treatise, The Prince, a work that is both admired and vilified for its seemingly ruthless advice to rulers on how to rule and maintain power. In The Prince, Machiavelli argues that rulers should not be judged by practical outcomes of their governance, rather than their moral or ethical stance. The rational approach of politics, shorn of idealism, made him a pioneer in political science and made politics an area worthy of humanistic study. Now, humanism isn't just about glorifying human potential, it's also about critically analyzing human behavior, which Machiavelli did exceptionally well. While earlier thinkers often looked at divine intervention for morality as the driving force behind political decisions, Machiavelli focused on the realistic dynamics of power. He treated politics as a field that could be systematically studied, dissected, and understood, a groundbreaking humanist concept. Both Machiavelli and Petrarch emphasized the importance of studying human behavior and actions. Petrarch turned to the classics to understand the human potential for goodness, while Machiavelli studied historical and contemporary leaders to understand the complexities of human behavior in politics. These works became cornerstones for humanistic studies, encouraging future generations to question and learn, and explore the potential of human intellect and ability. Petrarch's revival of classical literature led the Renaissance to focus on arts and humanities, while Machiavelli's pragmatic approach to politics introduced a more rational, albeit controversial, way of thinking about governments. Now, at the end of this unit, you will write an essay discussing the portrayal of humanism in the works of Machiavelli and Petrarch, and I can't wait to read it.